Still looking at these 5 hijackers from the Flight 11, American Airlines Flight 11, the one that flew into the North Tower on 9/11. And I come across this one article here, and it says that 28 pages were finally released, and it doesn't actually point out all the things that 28 pages has, the information that came out of it. Now, they mentioned that the hijackers Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi, it says it's exploring Saudi Arabia's potential involvement with them while they're in San Diego. And then al-Mihdhar and al-Hazmi were 2 of the 5 men who took over American Flight 77 and crashed it into the Pentagon, killing 64 on board and 125 in the building. Now, this goes to actually one of my biggest questions with 9/11 was that the wingspan of the American Flight 77 was, 125 foot, and then the hull was 60 foot, something like that, very general numbers. But the wingspan of the plane was much bigger than the hole in the side of the building. It's also the Pentagon. No surveillance tapes are in, none. No surveillance whatsoever. And so the theory is that it could have been a missile that had shot it. We don't know. We haven't seen the videotape. So I guarantee you there's surveillance that had been shot of it, because that seems incredible that the Pentagon, the central of the military-industrial complex of the United States, doesn't have any surveillance tapes outside of it. That's ridiculous. But since these were the Pentagon American Flight 77, I'm not particularly focused on them as much as I am the 5 hijackers of Flight 11, which is arbitrary. But there's a Saudi Arabian connection with American Flight 77. So the first flight that wrecked into one of the buildings was American Airlines Flight 11. It had Mohamed Atta, Abdulaziz al-Omari, Wail, al-Shehri, Waleed al-Shehri, and Satam al-Suqami. And so those are the 5 names. This is on Wikipedia, which I think is probably the best news report or news source that we have today. Now, here's an article. This is incredible. So there's a man named Waleed al-Shehri. Okay, so these are brothers, Waleed and Wail, and al-Shehris. There's this man who says that he left the U.S. a year ago. His name is also Waleed al-Shehri. This is a September 23rd, 2001 article. So this is, just, 12 days later. It says another of the men named by the FBI as a hijacker in the suicide attacks on Washington and New York has turned up alive and well. The identities of 4 of the 19 suspects accused of having carried out the attacks are now in doubt. Saudi Arabian pilot Waleed al-Shehri was one of the 5 men that the FBI had said had deliberately crashed American Airlines Flight 11 into the World Trade Center on September 11th. His photograph was released and since appeared in newspapers on television around the world. Now he's protesting his innocence from Casablanca, Morocco. He told journalists there that he had nothing to do with the attacks on New York and Washington and had been in Morocco when they happened. He has contacted both the Saudi and American authorities. According to the Saudi press reports, he acknowledges that he attended flight training school at Daytona Beach in the United States and is indeed the same Waleed al-Shehri to whom the FBI has been referring to. But he says he left the United States in September last year, became a pilot with the Saudi Arabian Airlines, and is currently on a further training course in Morocco. Abdulaziz al-Omari, another of the Flight 11 hijack suspects, has also been quoted in Arab news reports. He says he is an engineer with Saudi Telecoms and that he lost his passport while studying in Denver. Another man with exactly the same name surfaced on the pages of the English-language Arab news. The second, Abdulaziz al-Omari, is a pilot for the Saudi Arabian Airlines, the report says. Meanwhile, a Sharq al-Sat newspaper, a London-based Arabic daily, says it interviewed Saeed al-Ghamdi. He is listed by the FBI as a hijacker in the United flight that crashed in Pennsylvania. There are suggestions that another suspect, Khalid al-Mihdhar, may also be alive. FBI Director Robert Mueller acknowledged on Thursday that the identity of several of the suicide hijackers is in doubt. Now, I looked up, there's a link to an October 2006 article, and they said that part of the confusion was a lot of the folks had similar names. But that doesn't, that cast a strong doubt. I was looking at some of the reports right immediately afterwards, and they had only named 18 of the hijackers, and they didn't release any of the photos of them for several days. And then now they're saying that some of these photos are, it's complete crap. It's not true. And so, you know, they flew into the building and they're incinerated. So who were these guys? I think you should be able to get the video footage of them walking into the airport. I would think that they had a name that they used in order to get tickets. You have to put your name down, a name down, when you get tickets in order to get to the airlines. Then Mohamed Atta, he didn't pick up one of his bags. Supposedly one of his luggages, one of his bags was left at the airport, and so they picked it up there, and they said that that was like a, you know, a cornucopia of information, and there was a bunch of information that came out of that bag, so that should give his name. And so I think either they give wrong names and they had fake identities, or they give the real identity. So I think that it seems like you should be able to follow up who the names of these folks were. You should be able to get their faces, and you should be able to get their names by the surveillance of from the airport, from the names that they gave with the ticketing. It seems like this would be kind of an easy thing to do. Even before 2011, I mean, everybody's names, you had to say your name, you had to show your ID. I mean, they, you know, had the TSA there, and I guess they're more thorough. But there's another video that I just saw, the guy who said he remembered 9/11, and the way he remembered it was that George Bush had spoke the day after. He also remembered that bin Laden had came on the air in Al Jazeera, and he had said, he listed all the names of the perpetrators of 9/11. So bin Laden said who they were. Now, I had read something different, that he had denied it and then later on admitted to it. So, you know, the 19 hijackers, they're the ones that did it. They're they died, right? They're dead. And you can't really punish them, and so we're going to try to punish the financiers and the people who had supported them. And so if we're going to do that, then we got to find out who these guys actually were. And so, I mean, this conversation, I don't know. We just haven't had much of a conversation. I thought that George Bush spoke that day of, and I thought it was interesting that the guy had said that he remembered bin Laden actually listing all the names of the perpetrators. Okay, so now here's a Wail al-Shehri. This is the brother of the supposed one guy that wasn't even there, because you had Abdulaziz al-Omari, Wail al-Shehri, Waleed al-Shehri, and Satam al-Suqami. So you had 5 hijackers on board American Airlines Flight 11. Mohamed Atta is the pilot, the 33-year-old Egyptian, and then you had 4 Saudi Arabians. And then, you know, supposedly that Waleed al-Shehri and that Abdulaziz, you know, they were found elsewhere. So I don't know if these were guys with similar names, or if maybe they flat out got the wrong people. But this is a Wail al-Shehri. He is actually, this is his video will, and so it's in Arabic, and I'm going to try to translate it, you know, in real time, and then that'll be it for right now. So he's talking about jihad, the destination of our prophet's night journey is desecrated night and day. While Muslim men and women are burning in Chechnya, when will it be? Will in Kashmir and the Philippines the blood continues to flow? When will it be while football is played with the heads of our brothers in Indonesia, while Bosnia still cries over the scattered remains of the Muslims? When will it be while Kosovo cries out for help? When will it be while our brothers in Afghanistan die of hunger and cold due to the embargo which Americans impose on them? Among those who have died, is he being individual? And then he starts naming some of the people. So I thought it was interesting, all the reasons that he had given. So he's essentially saying, look at all these attacks on Muslim nations, you know, throughout the years. He's talking about the Muslim men and women who are burning in Chechnya, and then he says it while in Kashmir and the Philippines. See, this was published 2014. That's when it was uploaded. The comments have been disabled. I don't know exactly when this video was put out, but this is one of the hijackers of Flight 11. So he's the Kashmir and the Philippines. The blood continues to flow there. And so he's pointing out a lot of atrocities that are happening in Indonesia. Their heads are being played with football in Indonesia. Bosnia cries over the scattered remains. Kosovo cries. Afghanistan dies of hunger and cold. So I would assume that this would have been before 9/11, right? How else could you have a will before 9/11 or after 9/11 if you were part of the 9/11 attacks? So this gives more credence that this guy was actually there. So this Wail al-Shehri, you know, was probably there. And So yeah, that's it's a little bit more information about 9/11.